Well, there are a total of 3 very large, very intimidating boxes that are in my immediate proximity. These 2 white Sterilite boxes, actually there's a third one that kind of counts but doesn't, we'll get to that. And then there's this monstrosity down here, which came this way from the U.S. Postal Service, completely wrecked in the manner that you observe here, with a black, large Sterilite kind of container that had cracked open somehow in transit and got sent all around the country. Which was rather alarming because no one thought to insure the stuff inside, which is invaluable. Oh, lots of packing material. So, going to be more to contend with there than I really expected. But it looks like we have some fairly large things off the bat, including something I've never seen before. So I can't tell you what this is. This is apparently a box of Sminsels, scented pencils. I've never seen this object. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it's in there. I suppose I should thank Keith and or Walt for including it. Sminsels. Isn't that funny? So that was intact. If that was a nice little piece of humor. We shall investigate that later and put it inside of the old Demon Pore 64 box. Alright. Next up, we have this glorious contraption. Ooh, it's dirty. An MPC-200 from Sutter Instruments. So, yes, it's, this is not quite a museum relic, but it has something rattling around inside of there. I don't like that. I don't know why it has something rattling around inside of there, and I've never heard anything rattling around inside of there, so that's going to represent an additional challenge, shall we say. So what is the MPC-200? So this is the thing that talks to the micro-positioner from the ROE 200, if memory serves. There's a lot more to this. It's complicated, and it goes back, it's like 18 years, it's been in my orbit for 18 years, let's just say that. So what else do we got here? More newspaper, more packing paper. Exciting, exciting. Oh, we have something that is rather nicely inside of one of those nice, expensive-ish Pelican cases. Sweet! Oh, this might be the most important thing of all. Oh, I'm scared to open this. This is like the grand treat that makes up for everything else. So, this contains, let's see, an E1HS V5. So I believe this is the second amplifier we ever played with. And there's a bunch of other stuff inside of here that you can get a clear look at there. But I'm not going to open it yet because it's a delicate operation. And I also have on my list taking this apart and looking at what's rattling inside before I turn it on. That seems advisable, right? Okay. So, next up. What is next up? It looks like a rich assortment of things. It's actually pretty impressive. I wish I could get it up on the table, but it's too heavy. Interposers. Haven't seen these in quite some time. This was a whole era of demon porology. This was the era of trying to get the Demon Pore 64/2600 off the ground. 5 years ago. Actually, yeah, something like that, 4.5. these actually have micropores embedded in them. That I don't know the state of the micropores, but there's a little piece of silicon on each one. These are beautiful pieces made by. These are a beautiful design, actually. Like, I just think, you know, they're simple, they're sturdy. I think these are the HDPE ones, and the ones below that are PTFE, but I have to look at the notes. It could be the other way around. I want to praise the machinist who made like 64 of these for us, and they could still, I think, function as like really cool mounted pore silicon workhorses for just, you know, for your molecular gaming console joy. So I'm not even sure how I'm characterizing things yet. I have not done any wet lab work with my own hands, and even that was very minimal, and something like 3 years ago, and haven't done any really serious experimentation with my own hands in like 5 years. It's all super frustrating. So this is a New Year's journey into me being a hands-on wet lab scientist again with nanopores. And I'm hoping that inspires others to play with the same toys and try to get the same results. Or not the same results, but like, you know what I mean, like results. Try to like collaborate. This is all stupid. Stupid words. No, you'll understand that. So this is all going to be at the level of individual pore tinkering, where the field is like going to move toward arrays of millions of pores. Well, but the question is, what arrays of millions of pores? What millions of pores should you use? So we're gonna tinker, and I'm gonna be here at the big brown table as much as I can, doing hands-on experiments as the year progresses. These are these are little really expensive fluidic connectors that are pretty standard issue. These are actually nuts for a ferrule, I think it's called. So that's part of our fancier fluidic stuff. And this, oh my god, this thing is it's a 1D piezo stack that at one point was apparently fitted to this connector, and I'm not sure why, but I've never used it myself. Oh, I think this was probably, yeah, I know who did this. This was a pretty cool experiment. Yeah, at one point we just happened to get our hands on like that's actually a fairly expensive little piece of equipment that just fell into our lap, I think, or it's still on loan to us. That's a 1D nanopositioner that one of us, like somebody who works on somebody who will be on the eventual publications, one of the publications, did that work and set that up. This is part of one of the micro positioner stacks, and yeah, I'm gonna have a bit of a coming back to my former self, understanding this stuff and being able to play around with it, because it's been years, and many years since I really had to figure it all out myself solo. So yeah, this is going to be a fun challenge, and I hope people will find the mission of capturing a DNA molecule exciting enough that they are along for the ride. So that's one of the things I want to do on this table is catch and ratchet a DNA molecule with a sliding occlusion interface, which is something that I hope to convince enough people is hella cool that this is the beautifully made Elements Faraday Cage. This is one of only 2 Faraday cages I've used doing solid state nanopore research that actually worked, and it's just really sturdy, really nice ergonomics, and it actually worked, and it and the other one was a plastic baby wipes container that I just lined with a ton of aluminum foil, and that I would have to set a 5-pound weight on top of to get good exclusion of like ambient 60 hertz room noise. But when that worked, it was beautiful. And this is not nearly as janky. This is a beautiful little piece of hardware from Elements. See what this next thing is. Oh wow! So the perils of things appearing upside down. This is a bit of a museum piece. Oh my god, this thing's been torn up. And why? Why has it been torn up, you wonder? Good question. Why has this stuff been torn up? I feel like I'm going to move the camera, because why do you need to see me? I'm not so interesting. Let's change it so it's not looking at the big guy there, but actually like looking down at the equipment. That would be better. Okay. What does it take? Oh shit, it doesn't angle down better than that, does it? I thought it would really angle down enough, but it doesn't angle down enough. So I really want an angle like that. That kind of angle is hard to achieve. But okay, I'm just gonna show it to you. So it's kind of a disaster. How can I get it to stay like this? You can't get it to stay like this. So this is a long story from an era where we didn't have any money to spend on making anything. This is like quite some time ago. Actually, this design was made for us by a brilliant guy, and got a lot of experiments out of it. And if you're wondering why it looks like it's been through so much, it's because at various times we wanted to make it accessible to different kinds of instruments that needed to come from the outside. And there's also a particular kind of flow cell that would fit here with these really cool little kind of magnetic bead things, and would snap into these rails that would position them pretty accurately, even though this was just 3D printed. I think we also had one of these that was actually milled, or actually made a little bit better than that. But this is just like a big block where we needed a certain elevation to be able to access a different instrument, which was the main 3D piezo. and a lot of this is just like very much kind of kludged together so it would have a particular height, and this would allow this very bright fiber optic light to come through, and that light could shine up through the back of a pore as we were doing experiments. And this was actually, this little thing here was actually like, it was made for us by this machinist who just he took joy in the idea that he could make it for us this way when we described to him how we wanted to route this fiber optic light so it would go directly up. So it actually slips back and forth, but I'm going to keep it in place actually. So, and on the other end of this is this, which fits into this very bright light source, and that let us illuminate the nanopores. Okay. Okay, next. Is there a different setting I can use with this camera? 17 minutes already. Wow. This is very time consuming. Okay, what's in this box? This is the next box. What shall this box bring us? Who knows? But we shall find out what is in this box. This very delicately wrapped box. I don't recognize the form factor. It's got something rolling around in there. Oh, it is more, it's more of the interposer cartridges and some other goodies. Yeah, I want it to like stay like that for a while. Okay, cool. So, yep. General fuckery for loading things together. What is this? What does that say? Blue rigger? Yeah, I have no idea what this is. Some kind of liquid inside of it, which kind of freaks me out because, like, I'm not sure why there should be liquid in that. So this is, it says 2 micron graphene, perfect drill hole. Okay, so this is from some of the last wet lab experiments I did 2 years ago, a little more than 2 years ago, that never quite took off, but I think for some reason this chip is probably has some good qualities. But this was an extension of that original idea of the simple interposer flow cell, but we painted it red. And it looks nicer at the time, but it's smeared. I think this is nail polish. And the idea here was just that there was some graphene on this, and we had a dielectric breakdown set up where we were going to try to make pores in graphene, but we had too many other things going on. We didn't get around to it. So yeah, this is like various pores. And some sample boxes I haven't seen in a long time that are going to be really interesting to dig into because they could be useful for getting new experiments started. This looks like it's literally just a stray like cord organizer. Not sure why the stray cord organizer is in here. And there's a bunch of other little random things that, more pores. These look like the, I forget what they're called. They're a type of spring. but they're springs, yes. They're springs that fit another apparatus of ours. And, yeah. I don't know what's going on with these particular reagents. I'm sure they're not desperately dangerous. But I'll have to get to the bottom of what they are. So a whole bunch of interposers and a stray cord organizer. And yeah, I will put that with, well, I don't know. Are we organized in any coherent fashion yet, or even planning to be? Okay, so I'll put that with samples over here. Let's see what Santa USPS brought us next. More interposers. So I should be able to hook these up to one of the things that we're going to be pulling out of these boxes, and it's going to be awesome. Hey, check it out. It's an Oxford nanopore mini-ion that a friend of mine gave me, who does development work on them, and it's just fun to have them around. I'm not going to say who gave this to me, but it's fun to look at under the microscope. We might do that at some point. It's cool, very cool device. All right. More. Okay, I see the piezo stack, which is, I think that's the piezo stack. No, that's not the piezo stack. So many. Okay, we're getting into heavy things. Heavy in more ways than one. This beautiful beast, this Luscious Monster is this dirty Luscious Monster that I need to clean off. Oh my god, how did it get so much shit on it? So, yeah, this definitely needs to get cleaned, and for some reason it's got a cord that has nothing to do with it, that's just tangled up in it, that is actually part of the, what I hope to be our complete set of amplifiers. So, this likely takes a fair bit of explaining as well as cleaning. I'm humiliated for how gross it looks, because it's a cool instrument when you're running it. So this lets you run 3 different axes and this thing better work. I hope it hasn't been damaged. I don't know. Is that like literally just like rust? So we're gonna get it pretty. No fear. We're gonna get it pretty. And it still has the original stickers. Very beautiful stickers. So this is a 3-axis micropositioner manipulator that goes with the big Sutter device that I've just sat it on top of. Okay, what's next? Looks like we still have a fair bit of packing material. That seems to be the predominant thing here, is packing material. There's old ladies walking by. Old ladies walking by. Okay, so there's something really heavy and big that is going to have to be made room for, and that's a bit of a special challenge, making room. So oh. So, thinking about where I want to put it. And what I actually want to dig into looking at today in detail. Go. Oh shit, the piezo is just fucking dangling off the side. Jesus. If that piezo ever gets damaged, I'd be so pissed. Okay, well, we have a hopefully still functioning Piezo Cube that lives here, apparently, or actually lives here. And I'm going to be very angry at the universe and myself if it no longer works. Because this device has a history that's probably scientifically on par. Like, there's an epic story behind this little device that goes back 18 years, and I was always very, very paranoid about dropping it or hitting it with anything. So I hope that it made it through that current condition, because that's pretty disturbing. Anyway, this is the thing. So this is a Piezo Cube that's capable of making discrete motions on the order of, I think this one, well, there's different ways to define it, but like basically it does nanometer scale motions, but I don't remember if what you could argue the actual limit of reproducible precision is, or how it's measured with this particular device, but we'll get into that, because it's this little puppy is responsible for this company this little puppy is responsible for any scientific credibility and Okay, so next up is whatever I'm about to pull out of here, which looks like something tall and somewhat intimidating. Yes, it is. I sure hope it is all good and intact. Although I feel it is probably starting to be a bit outdated. Although not sure I have a longer. So this is a scope that that most of the movies, most of the cool demon pore mechanical nanopore movies were taken with this scope. With this scope and camera setup you see here, which were mostly taken with the scope. So most of it was taken with the scope.
Okay. Okay, so, and it looks like it's a bit off axis, and I'm gonna need to probably find some, find the screws that let me attach it strongly again. This camera is prone to firmware issues. We've had other issues with it in the past, and this is probably one of two best setups I have for watching watching nanopores, getting nanopore data with combined optics. Like the power of this thing is that it gives you 100x optics with like 6 millimeters working distance, so you can be like that far away from a sample getting 100x images from it. And we also have a fluorescent version of this, and yeah, we'll get to that. Okay, next up. Next up is this mysterious random metallic plate, which I think I know why it's in there, but we'll find out. If I am correct. Oh, okay. So this is something incredibly cool. These are the little custom flow cells I was telling you about earlier, that are actually pretty nifty, and I might end up still using them. Maybe I just like the design of them. And there's a lot of rusting going on in the magnetic ball bearings. They're like heavily rusted, but those can be cleaned. And this was just a gorgeous design by this brilliant engineer who worked with us pretty early on. And probably see a reflection in that, because there's a pore in there, and I don't know what the pore is. But when I look at it, I'll get a sense of what the batch is. And there's also like this barely, probably not actually readable text on it that I'll try to read. So you got 3 of those, and I'm going to put those with the samples. Next up is Yield Fiber Light, which also is going to look like it's in a horrific state of disrepair with random crap on it. I'm going to clean all of this shit because I'm like not impressed with how it looks. But you know, if it has a functional bulb, it's good. And apparently the last time I used it, I was I probably had to do some half-ass klutz is more appropriate, attachment uh, of the light, like the one you saw in this piece. So these go together, and then you get a bright light that comes up. And but as you can see, they don't really go together, and I think there's a fitting issue or something else that allows them to come together. But yeah, this is the fiber light. It has a super bright bulb in it that costs like $150 to replace. So hopefully it is not dead. I hope it is not dead. Next up is the thing that was formerly usually on this big heavy disc. I think this big heavy disc came from like a lamp or something, and I just needed something with heft that I had this other thing that you'll see mounted on it. You can actually, I think this is like this is like epoxy where it was mounted so that the soft side would be down, and this was sitting on top of it. So I referred to this earlier as like the only other effective Faraday cage that I've used, and it literally does have it has this stripe of fake wood sticker on it, which comes from our original design for what we were calling the Demon-Pore 2600, which would have like wood grain on it, like the Atari 2600. So it was meant to sort of ironically evoke that. But Atari could sue us if we actually made a product based on that. Although, you know, the CEO of Atari wants to talk to me and get into molecular gaming, I'd love to call our molecular gaming console the 2600 and just lean into it. Or, you know, I probably shouldn't say any of this just in case it turns out to be higher stakes when everybody realizes how cool this is. But yeah, I don't know what I'm about to find in this, and I think it might be the 4-channel amplifier, which will be slightly horrifying. And it is. It is the 4-channel amplifier. This is I don't remember if we spent $4,000 on this thing or $8,000 on this thing or $10,000 on this thing. But I am touching it as if I am grounded, and I didn't feel anything, thank God. But that was foolish, and I shouldn't be touching it again until I get grounded, because I need it to work, and I don't want to have to beg Federico to fix it. Although I would beg Federico and hope that the hope that the fact that all of our cool early sliding occlusion data was based on the elements is sufficient coolness for sure. So hopefully, yeah. But I don't need them to. They've already been so great to me, and they helped me do those experiments early on. And this is Teflon. No, these aren't Teflon. I have no idea what this is. Oh, this is probably PDMS. That is so thin PDMS with an adhesive backing. I didn't realize you were here. I thought you were gone this whole time. Yeah, that's funny. I thought you left early. Oh, I'm not. I'm making video. I'm not paying attention to my text. You're not interrupting. I'll pills. What kind of pills? Oh. Yeah. Thank you. I'm sorry. I put those there so I wouldn't forget to take them, and I forgot to take them. They're not. I was gonna clean that up after I stopped recording. It got. Thank you. All right. Okay, back to what we were doing before. So this was formerly attached to this and also grounded that way. And this is a bag of, I don't know what this is a bag of. I assume these are, I think I recognize that. This is, I think one of the piezo connectors. This is not one of those, but I don't know what it's from. This is part of the micro positioner. This is one of those fiber optic lights. This is also one of those fiber optic lights, and you can kind of see that it didn't fit correctly. This is an HDMI to something connector. I don't know what the deal is. This is some kind of thing, and these are screws that are probably for that same size and shape of breadboard over there. Don't know what this powers, but I suspect we'll find out what it powers. This says Turk on it. It's one of the power things. There's probably more. Oh, we finally got into sliding occlusion stuff. These are sliding occlusion rigs. These were used for some of the early experiments where you would have a chip literally attached to that and attached to the top of the piezo, like so, approximately, if the piezo was stacked on there. So, like, just imagine piezo stacked there, and you'd have this thing on top of it moving back and forth. And you would have this thing as well holding the bottom chip and moving that back and forth. So there are a lot more of those in here, including some of the original classic designs, and some of them still have the needles on them. And I'm going to call this overwhelming and put it back into this Ziploc bag so it's in one place. And I'm going to say that that's quite overwhelming. And actually, my goal for day one is simply to get it all unpacked and to make a battle plan to clean it up and get experiments working again. Next up in the box. Oh my God, is that it? Is that everything that was in the box of doom? There's a wheel. Oh, there is the Starship Firster Prize, or one of them. That's actually one of the coolest, like, earliest. This went with a particular sliding occlusion design that my heart still aches to think about the potential of. And it looks dirty as fuck and gross. I'm not sure what this is. I think this probably involves connecting to the Sutter device, and we'll find out. This is a pack of 10 silicon nitride membrane windows for TEM that are supposedly 10 nanometer. I don't know what this is. This doesn't seem too familiar, but it has some kind of fancy silicon inside of it. So that's a bit mysterious. All right, and that's it for the box from hell. And there is likely more. So, oh, and I didn't talk about what this is. This is actually an array of pores. It's a really interesting array. It's really cool to look at when you shine something at it from the bottom, but we're not going to do that right now just yet. I am going to put it here, though, because it is like a nifty spot where it can sit.